Hello everyone, Sai here, welcome back. Today we are doing something a bit different than my normal videos, and I have gone and created a cursed Conlang. Conlang is essentially a created language, and you will understand soon why this language is cursed. There will also be a link to Agmashua's video in the description for all the rules of this, but I have limited time on this video, so I'll just hop into it now. Many have recounted stories of horrors that defy all logic. They are driven to insanity. I was driven by curiosity. 26 years ago, I was on a research expedition in the Arctic when I stumbled across something that would change my life forever. It was a night that I could never forget. The sky was clear, the stars were bright in the cold black abyss above. My colleagues and I were cramped together in a small research base. It was late at night when I was rummaging through old journals, while everyone else was asleep, when I came across something strange. An amulet fell onto my hands. I examined it, for I had not seen this before. There were scriptures on the sides, and it held a strange glow in its body. As if compelled to do so, I exited the base with the amulet in hand, and walked towards a cliffside. A glow, similar to the amulet's, grew from behind the rock wall. My eyes could not handle what I saw as I walked around it. An eldritch god, taller than anything I have ever seen, made of shifting veins and pulsating eyes, stood before me. Its body morphed and shifted in and out of my dimension, and I heard its voice. When I realized where I was back at the cabin. I have no recollection of anything else. From that point forward, I set my sights on uncovering the secrets of the language of the gods. After 26 years, I have uncovered the secrets of this ancient language. I know now that it can only be spoken by someone with 3 or greater eldritch mouths. Because of this, we shall refer to it as Humoguad. Each mouth serves a unique purpose for the language. For both the nouns and adjectives, mouth 1 is responsible for the root noun word and the noun case that applies to it. Mouth 2 is responsible for the animacy of the given noun and the amount. Mouth 3 is purely for honorifics of whom the sentence is talking to, and of whom the sentence is being referred to. For verbs and adverbs, they seem to be related to each other, but their workings are ever so slightly changed. For verbs, the root word, tense marking, and evidentiality can be expressed in one mouth, whereas for adverbs, only the tense marking and evidentiality can be expressed in one mouth. With verbs, mouth 2 can express the aspect and the universal coordinates of where the action is taking place. The universal coordinates don't apply to adverbs, so mouth 2 is used for the aspect and root. The root of the adverb seems to have been pushed in the second mouth to fill the placement of where the universal coordinates used to be. The third mouth for verbs and adverbs is for purely speaking the modality. There are no pronouns in Humoguad, and thus are only referred to as separate entities. For example, if I wanted to say that I went to the void, I would say, the man went to the void. The reason for this is that everything is a part of the universe and there is no such thing as self to the eldritch entities. There are 12 noun cases: nominative, accusative, genitive, dative, locative, ablative, instrumental, interdimensional, locative, temporal, ablative, temporal, locative, eldritch locative, which is used purely for summoning eldritch gods, and non-Euclidean locative. There are 7 modalities as well, which include indicative, imperative, subjunctive, conditional, eldritch imperative, which will make you do any of the eldritch entities' bidding unless you have more cosmic influence. The temporal subjunctive, which involves hypotheticals based on certain timelines, and the quantum indicative, which states facts in quantum states. There are 26 animacy distinctions that correlate directly to the honorifics. I will only list the animacies and will not go into further explanations. Starting from the lowest animacy to the highest, we have negative dimensional objects, negative dimensional living entities, negative dimensional consciousness, universal constants, stationary objects, 0th dimensional objects, 1-dimensional objects, 2-dimensional objects, 0th dimensional living entities, 0th dimensional consciousness, 3-dimensional inanimate objects, 3-dimensional animate non-living entities, 1-dimensional living entities, 2-dimensional living entities, 4-dimensional objects, 3-dimensional living entities, 1-dimensional consciousness, 2-dimensional consciousness, 3-dimensional consciousness, quantum beings, 4-dimensional living entities, 4-dimensional consciousness, omniscience, the great old ones, which is 7 dimensions, the outer gods, which is 10 dimensions, and the unspeakable entity which exists in all dimensions. There are 5 tenses. The first expresses the time that is nearest from you in the past or present or future. The second tense expresses the time that is farthest from you in the past or present or future. The third tense expresses the relativistic present from your point of view. The fourth tense expresses the universal present, and the final tense expresses the time, which is either never going to be completed, which exists for all time and has always existed, or something that will never exist and never has. There are also 5 aspects. The first aspect is continuous, the second is simple, the third is momentaneous, the fourth is a universal gnomic or universal truth, and the final aspect is a perspective gnomic or truth from your perspective. Evidentiality is marked as either omniscient knowledge, mental evidence, or non-mental evidence. Like how many languages have a visual and non-visual distinction, there is only a singular and plural distinction for nouns. Honorifics in most languages are usually separate words to define one object depending on who is being talked to, whereas in Humoguad, the language uses one word for the honorific and the words are separate from the rest of the sentence. These define both the relationship of the speaker towards the listener, the speaker towards the one being referred to, and the relationship of the listener and the one being referred to. Using this system, Humoguad ends up having 19 different honorific words. Finally, the universal coordinates tell you where the action is taking place. It does not specify where the nouns are, but purely where the action has gone from stationary to moving. I have been able to uncover the Humoguad works on a base 8 system where each number corresponds to a certain phoneme. Those phonemes are added together to get the exact coordinates of the verb. I'm still unsure as to how only one number can equal a coordinate on the 4th dimensional scale. Strangely enough, it seems that numbers cannot be expressed in this language. They have letters that can roughly be translated as ha, ma, ga, shu, du, and ru. And for vowels, they have u, a, o, and the longer version of those vowels. Of course, the ancient ones speak in a much slower and creakier voice than humans have. I have learned enough by this that I have been able to speak it by growing my own Eldritch mouths. How I did that will be a secret only for me to know. I will translate a sentence from Twilight per Agma Schwa's request.